Hey guys, we are the Happy Couple, and today's video is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to ask this guy right here a little question.
A question?
Yeah, a question.
What's the question?
The question. So, people sometimes are afraid to kind of just go after their goals and like dive all in, go all in. My question is, what was something that you attempted that you went all in that maybe didn't work out so well, but then maybe you learned something from it that helped you kind of attack it better in the future?
Good question.
I'm wise.
So, I hated running a number of years ago. I hated running. And so I decided to do a marathon. The Columbus Marathon was actually a blast. It was amazing. And I crossed the finish line and you feel like superhero and you're like, I am so cool, I can conquer the world. I'm gonna do an Ironman. And an Ironman is a little bit longer than a marathon. It's a 2.4 mile swim, 112 mile bike ride, and a marathon at the end, just for good measure.
When you're already tired.
Yeah. Now, this was really, honestly, it was actually a very big failure on my part. Here's the truth. What happened is I severely and massively underestimated what it was gonna take to do it. I mean,
that's true.
I did not understand well enough how to ride that bike for that long. My best training ride or my longest training ride or this like random thing I did along the way was a 100-mile bike ride in the desert in Palmdale, California by myself on a 2-lane road. So not like 2 lanes going each way, just 2.
Just like 1 and 1.
1 and 1. That had semi-trucks driving by on it at 70 miles an hour, and I was riding my bike on the shoulder. So
it's literally my worst nightmare. Like, besides sharks attacking me, that is like my worst nightmare.
So I lived it, which was exciting. I was like, well, I'm just gonna ride 50 miles in one direction. I'll ride 50 miles back. Do not ever do that. Fortunately, I ran into a town about 50 miles out, refilled my water, which was really good because when I turned around and started riding back, I basically had headwind the entire time. Long story short, I arrived to the starting line of my Ironman and I was like, I am going to conquer this thing. I was standing in there talking to a guy and he said, and he was talking about all these races he had done. And I was like, wow, that's so cool. And he's like, well, what about you? And I was like, no, this is my first one.
Generally, if you're gonna do triathlons and you're doing an Ironman, like you're gonna do a sprint distance and the Olympic distance, a half, and then the Ironman. Not this guy.
Nope, I was like, whatever, I wanted to do an Ironman. So anyways, I did the 2.4 mile swim, no problemo. 30 miles into the bike, I pulled my IT band. That is basically a part of your body that connects your knee and your hip. So every pedal stroke hurt.
It was a rough, long day.
I was the last person on the bike. Basically what happens when you're, for the most of you who've ever done any race, you probably weren't the last person. I mean, because there's one per race. I was that guy in that race on the bike. And so there's basically a police officer who follows behind the last person and picks up all the cones and all the rest of the stuff that gets you off the bike course. That cop said, man, you're braver than I am because I would have quit. And you know, the part that inspired me to keep going, even though I had pulled my IT band, was there was a guy who rode past me on my bike who had half of one arm. So he had nothing on one side and half of an arm on the other. And that actually inspired me so much because he had like this like little thing that was that he would like lean against, that he was holding against, and he's doing this bike. He passed me on the bike, not like way after I'd gotten injured, like he passed me on the bike legitimately. And I was like, man, I'm in total pain and agony, but that guy's not complaining, so I need to not complain.
If he's out there, if you see this video, definitely leave a comment because we would love to do another race with you.
Oh yeah.
Super inspirational.
It was the HITS Florida full triathlon in 2014 or something. So I then do 6.4 miles of the run, walk, hobble. Like it's basically 4 loops and I did 1 loop and I basically looked at my time and I would have been 2.5 hours over the cutoff. So I quit.
I was gonna ask how long.
13 hours, that was a long day.
Think about doing any kind of cardio for 13 hours without being injured.
It's a long
That's
day.
just a long day.
Yeah. Good, that was a total failure, and it was. It sucked. When you say you're gonna do an Ironman and then you don't do an Ironman and you do all this training and all the work to do it and you get so far into it and then quit. Long story short, my takeaway was I had some recovery time, then I started gaining some weight. That was my bulking phase. That's what I called it for 5 years. You know, I basically decided, that's it, I'm gonna do this thing. So I'm scheduled for the Florida Ironman, November 7th, Panama City Beach. And I'm gonna finish, and I'm training now. Like, I understand so much more about the bike. I'm way more equipped. I know how this whole thing works. I have a coach who's working with me, and so, you know, the reality is, I never would have gone out there if I looked at all the reasons why I was probably going to fail. Like, there were about a million reasons why I was going to fail. You just throw that out the window, you know, and you just go, whatever, I'm gonna go for it. Because worst case scenario, I didn't finish, and I didn't. And I worked hard for it, right? But now I get to step back and I go, you know what? I'm gonna conquer that thing. So this year is my year, and I get to finish the Ironman. It has a 17-hour time cutoff. So one way or the other, I'm going to finish, but I'm working on getting better so that I don't have to take forever on it. If it takes me 16 hours, 59 minutes, and 59 seconds, I will be there doing it, but I'm training well enough now that hopefully it doesn't take me that long. Regardless, I will conquer that goal this time. Thank you so much for watching our video, and subscribe. Don't forget to, you know, subscribe, and then give us some love, write in any comments, you know, anything you want to share with us. You know, maybe a time that you kind of crashed into something, stepped back, and then conquered it. How about that? See you in the next one.
Conquer the world.